Okay, let's just take you back in time and just what are your memories of that first fight? It was an incredible encounter to watch. What was it like to be involved in it?
My first memory is disappointment and devastation, to be honest, because I lost the fight and my world title was ripped from me, and it was my first ever career defeat. So it's quite painful feeling. But also it was proud and honourable because I lost to a guy that is cut from the same cloth. He's a warrior. He can fight. He can punch. He can do what he needs to do to win the fight. And on that night in Denmark, he beat me fair and square. It was close. Could have probably gone either way. If it was in Nottingham or in the UK, maybe I would have got the nod. But on the night, he beat me fair and square, and I've got no bones about that. And although it's hurtful to know that I've lost the fight, it's not hurtful to know that I lost to a man of such magnitude. Kessler is a top fighter. So to get the rematch on now is a chance for me to set the record straight. And I'm so grateful that that Mikkel Kessler's the man he is, and that Sky TV and the British public and everybody's behind me to make this happen. Because if I didn't have the backing of the British public and Sky, this fight wouldn't be happening. It's as simple as that.
How does it compare to, the signing of this fight in terms of when you got the Pascal fight and then the Ward fight and the initial Kessler fight? In terms of how pleased you are to sign some contracts, how does it compare?
This is the biggest fight of my career. Pleasing wise, feeling wise, even when Eddie said to me, Lucien Bute's coming over, and I said, you what, is he stupid? He must be, coming to Nottingham, because I didn't think Bute was that great anyway. I could stand here and say he was unbeaten in 30 fights, 24 knockouts, and everyone had him ranked at number 1 or number 2, and I beat the best fighter to ever live. I didn't have that opinion of him. So when Eddie told me he was coming to England with his title, I just thought, what a fool, what's he doing? But I wasn't going to tell him. No, I let him think he had a chance. But that was great, winning that fight and getting that fight made, it really was. But this one, for me, we'll keep using the word warrior, warrior's call, it really is, warriors. Mikkel Kessler, the Viking warrior, that's what he calls himself. I'm a warrior, you've seen the way in which I fight. My blood and my heart is in this sport. I'm not in it for financial gain, I'm not in it for world titles, although obviously I want to be world champion. I'm in it to win fights, to secure my legacy, to prove to everybody that I mean business and that I'm a serious operator at top level. I've already proven that and done that. I could retire tomorrow quite happily, but to get the fight with Kessler and potentially avenge that defeat for me means more than anything I've done in my career. And that sounds ridiculous because of where I've been and what I've done and the fights I've had, 3 times world champion. The Kessler fight's the biggest fight for me out there. It's as simple as that. But it's one which I need to win. I don't know how I'm going to take this if I don't get beat, if I don't win the fight, if I get beat. I don't even want to talk about it. I can't even say it properly. I even got that wrong because I don't want to talk about the L word. I really don't. I've got to win this fight because the flip side of not winning, it means I've lost twice against him. I've lost in Denmark, okay, I can sort of put that down to the fact that it was close and it was at home. But for him to come to the UK and inflict another defeat on me, then I don't know where that's going to leave me, I really don't. I think it's going to be curtains, it could be devastating, and there's the motivation and there's the encouragement for me, getting up in the morning and running and training and sparring and all the hard blood, sweat and guts I've got to put and tears into this camp, and then at the end of it, Mikkel Kessler's waiting for me. That's where I'm going to get my inspiration and my motivation from.
There's so much respect between the two of you, and rightly so. Is there also memories of that first fight? Any nerves going into this in terms of how hard this fight is going to be? Because it was certainly one of your hardest fights of your career, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah. There's nerves involved. Nerves and probably more so apprehension. I'm a human being, so I get nervous, but it's how I deal with the nerves that makes me different to how the average man on the street would deal with nerves. I used to get nervous as an amateur, and used to let it affect my performance. I grew up in pubs for the later part of my childhood, and you get problems in pubs where people want to fight you and they've had a drink and you think he's twice the size of me, and you get nerves, and they call it flight or fight, and you have a run for cover or you stand your ground. And I've always been the sort of man to stand my ground. Whether or not I think I'm equally matched, I'll stand and fight, and you shouldn't do. If you're not equally matched, then split and reevaluate. That's what it says in the book I've read. But Mikkel Kessler and myself, I think we're equally matched. I think we're both. I think at the top of our game. I'm 35 years old, but I'm not an old man. I'm physically, I know what reps I'm pushing out and pulling up, and when I'm running, I know what times I'm hitting and how I feel, and I feel at my best. So there's going to be no, I'm just past my best, I'm 35. There's none of that. There's going to be no excuses if the unthinkable happens. And I think Mikkel Kessler's at his best as well. He's 2 years younger than me, so he's, if anything, his biological clock is slightly behind me, so he's got an advantage there. But I think we're both at our physical best. We're both like toughened, seasoned warmongers, if you like, professionals that have been in there, seen it, done it, and got a t-shirt. We both know what it's like to get hit on the chin. We both know what it's like to get cut. We've both been put down. We've both lost. We've both come back from being lost. So there's nothing that really separates him from me. I think I'm the better man. I think I'm going to be the better man on the night. But I'm fully aware that this fight could go either way. And that's going to bring the best out in me. And I'm sure it's going to bring the best out in Mikkel Kessler.
One last question. You've won several world titles. The WBA title is also on the line here. It's a unification contest. You could argue that perhaps you're bigger than the titles now, but what does it mean to be fighting for 2 world titles?
It's great to be fighting for the WBA as well as the IBF. Obviously, my belt, the IBF. From the layman's point of view, IBF, WBA, WBC, you've got WBA Super Champ, you've got the WBC Silver, the Diamond, so it can all get a little bit confusing. So from that point of view, the belts and the titles don't really mean a great deal. For me, it's about Mikkel Kessler and Froch. That's what it's about, this fight, because he's beat me. It's as simple as that. I've got to try and beat him back. And whether this fight happens for an IBF title, WBA title, WBC title, or whether it happens here now, and everyone stands and watches it, and it's fair, we've got no weapons, let's do it, bare knuckle. If I beat him, I'm going to get the same feeling as beating him in the arena at the O2 on May 25th, because that's what it means to me. It's about fighting him, and I'm the last man standing. I can say, I'll beat you fair and square. And I'll shake his hand, and I'll help him up, and I'll embrace him. But the fight's got to happen, because it's up there and it's in there. And, I can't... The titles, really, I shouldn't say it, they don't mean shit. It's about 2 warriors getting it on. And that's why it's called Warriors Call, because that's what it is.
Get involved with all the best boxing banter at our forum, and that's forum.boxingnewsonline.net.